Alright, all. I'm live. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to hanging out with Dave. Just a little show that I do every week, live stream that I do. I try to stick around an hour. It's usually about a half hour long. I cover a little bit of tech news. I go through the questions and comments that I've gotten over the past week. There wasn't a whole lot of new stuff coming out today or this past week. I guess the biggest thing that I could find is the RX 5500 XT. I have pulled up a few articles on it that kind of go with the benchmarks and whatnot on it. And Newegg actually got them for sale. They was released about 2 days ago, so I'll be covering some of that info today. And of course, I will be covering the comments and questions at the end of it. So I'll be covering some of the benchmarks that news and other sources put out on the versus the 1660 and the 1660 Super and all that. Just kind of show you the benchmarks and what you can expect out of these cards. Just a little disclaimer here. I do enjoy me a cold Budweiser while I do the show. So there is a little bit of drinking involved. You may hear a dirty word or a wordy word or a little bit of cussing from time to time, but I try to keep that under control where you don't hear that too much. So let's get into this RX 5500 XT. The first thing is from Techspot, and just like always, all the articles I'll be talking about today will be in the description below. This is the AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT 8 gig review. This is where I kind of got my benchmarks from for today. It's about the only place I could find to have it written. I've watched a few other big YouTubers that's got the cards in hand. It kind of trades blows with the 1660 and the 16 Super. They got 1080p and 1440p testing done on this card. I'm going to focus on the 1080p because I believe if you're going to be doing 1440p, you should go with the 5700 over these cards. That's just personal opinion, though. These cards do come out in 8 gig and 4 gig variants. If you've seen any of my other videos or seen any of my other comments that I've answered, I don't know why they're still making 4 gig cards. Some of the guys that's got these cards in hand actually tested them, and the 4 gigs do just as well as 8 gig cards. And I don't think the GPU power is quite enough to do the 8 gigs, but the 8 gigs is going to give you a little bit more so-called future proofing. Games are using more and more VRAM every year as they come out. But here's the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is a pretty demanding game on GPU. You can see right here the 5500 XT is beating out the RX 580 by a little bit, by a couple frames. It's pretty well below the GTX 1660. And it's quite a few below the 1660 Super. Like I said, they have 1440. If you'd like to go check out the 1440s, I'm not going to really drill on them too much. The Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 1080p, high quality. The 5500 XT is actually beating out the 1660, or equal to, which is coming right in behind the 1660 Super. You have Red Dead Redemption 2, which has been proven to be a pretty demanding game that will run on a GPU. It looks like the 5500 XT is getting about 45 frames per second on average on high quality, which that's even falling behind the 590. And that's a little bit below the 1660, and it's actually trading blows with the 1650 Super, which is even a little bit less than the 1660. There's the 1440 scores. World of Tanks at 1080p ultra quality. It's getting about 106 on the average. The low is about 78, and it's still falling in below the 1666 gig. Let's see here, Far Cry New Dawn. It's getting about 86 on the average, 70 is the minimum, which is right below the regular 1660, which is getting 88 and 73. And 66 Super's pulling ahead 81 to 99. Rainbow Six Siege, which is usually a pretty easy game to run. It's getting 129 frames. The minimum's about 98. That's falling right behind the RX 590 actually. The 16 Super's pulling ahead of it. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's averaging about 73 frames. Well, the 1660 is getting about 86. It seems like it's, in most games, this card's falling right behind the 1660. And it's a good bit behind the 16 Super, but for the prices that we'll get into, you know, like I said, Newegg does have these for sale. I couldn't find them on Amazon, so I do have some prices from Newegg and want to like to go over with you. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is pulling about 115. 1660 is about 124, so there's a pretty big leap in that one. Metro Exodus is pulling about 72 frames. That's on 1080p ultra quality. Where the 1660 is actually right below it, but the RX 580 and RX 590 is actually beating both of them out. I mean, this card's standing right about where you'd expect it to, I guess, maybe a little bit less than what you're expecting it, because this card is actually replacing what would have been like the 570, so it should be a little bit less than the 580 or the 590. They're right around that point. There's the F1 2019. It's pulling 121 frames. 1660. Where's 1660 at? 1660 is down here at 108. So it does a little bit better in the F1 2019 if you're into them racing simulators. Let's see, Gears 5. You got the 5500 XT doing 74. Well, the 1660 is doing about 76. And the Super's up there at the top with 84 frames per second on that one. And again, there's the 1440 scores. But that kind of shows you where it falls into place. And if you go over to Newegg and look at the pricing of it, you know, you can get them for, now like I said, remember, these do come in 4 gig and 8 gig cards, so you have to watch which one you're actually ordering if you're thinking about buying one of these. You know, 4 gig cards are going for about $180. Here's an 8 gig for $219 from Gigabyte. Here's one for $209, which is a gigabyte card as well. These do run on a 128 bus for the memory instead of the 256. But these are also DDR6 memory instead of DDR5. They are compatible with the PCI Express 4.0 compared to 3.0, but your graphics card ain't even using up everything available through PCI Express 3. AMD's pushing that PCI Express 4 because their 570 motherboards support it, and that's the only motherboard on the market today supporting it, so of course they think that's going to be a big selling point. Talking about the RX 5500s, I pulled up an article here from WCCF Tech, and they're already starting to overclock these things. They're saying they can overclock up to 2.1 gigahertz on air using a fan made MorePowerTool, and this will also be linked in the description below. With pretty well what this article is saying is it can go up from 1880, what is it, from 1980, it can go up to 2.1 gigahertz by using this little tool. I get, by what I'm getting by reading through the article, the TDP is the holding factor, which means that the die ain't staying cool enough. So this here kind of puts your fan up into the next mode to get it to cool off even better. I don't know. To me, you could probably just go in and adjust your fan curve on your GPU and probably get the same performance. It takes it up from 1850 megahertz up to 2080 megahertz. I don't know. I've never played around with this kind of stuff. You know, I've always just went in and adjusted my fan curve if the curve was running warm. I've never ran a third-party software to do anything like this, but that's an option if you're planning on buying one. You like to get more out of it, and if you get up to that 2 gigahertz or past the 2 gigahertz, it'd be even a lot better than the benchmarks that we went over today, if that's the factor of it. What I've seen from other YouTubers on this card, it ain't really the temperature that's really holding it back, but you know, everybody likes to get the most out of the money, and that'd be a way to do it, I guess. But that's about all I got for news for today. I think that's enough coverage on the 5500 XT. So I guess we'll get into the comments and the questions here, and we'll see what's happened this past week on the channel. Let me get you guys flipped back over here. Alright, let's see here. Diamond Gimmicks. She gave me a heart and a thumbs up. She must have enjoyed it. I enjoyed the video she seen on how to set up the new gaming computer build. Alright, now if I butcher your guys' name through this, I apologize. I'm not very good with names anyways, especially these names that some of you guys have on YouTube. Let's see here. Havi, I guess the way you pronounce that. Have you tested the airflow? I've seen many people complain that even though it looks well ventilated, it is still suffering from the airflow and heat buildup. That's on the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L case review. I did not test the airflow in that case. Airflow is something I really don't look at. When I build a system, I'll do this with every system that I have. Once I get them built, I run Prime 95 to test the CPU, and I put Heaven Benchmark on a cycle just to keep it running. I usually leave them set for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. I have hardware monitor, and I watch the temps, see what they spike up to. And when I did that build, I can't recall exactly what the temperature was, but I was happy with the temperatures. I wouldn't have sold the system. And also that Q300L case, that's like a $40 case. You know, it's a budget case. It's made for a cheaper system. You know, when you guys gotta keep in mind when you're looking to buy your components, you know, everything's set kind of in levels. And as far as your motherboard, your CPUs, your cases, you know, you don't want to put a $1,500 computer into a $40 case. You know, you want to kind of budget it out to where you spend about 10% of your budget on a case. You know, and with that taken in consideration, you know, that case would be good for an APU system, and if you're running integrated graphics. It's also good for a low end, or you know, you're looking at a quad core processor, a 6-core processor running an RX 580 or something like that. You know, I don't think it would be good if you'd be running a 9900K with a 2080 Ti in it. There's just too much heat. That case is too, you know, you're spending that kind of money on components, you want a better case anyways. So you guys need to keep this in mind, you know, when you're looking at these cheap cases and whatnot, which I know that's a good way to save money on a build. But, you know, they're priced the way they are because that's what they're made. The performance is set by price pretty much on all aspects of them. So, you know, the airflow I didn't test. Yeah, I've heard reports. I've seen other people reporting that the airflow ain't the greatest. Like I said, you know, I did stress test the system. The temperatures looked good for the system that was in it. If I'm not mistaken, that had the 1066 gig with the quad core 6600 in it, I believe, was the system I put in that case. The temperature was ran fine with it, or I wouldn't have never sold the system. I'd have put it in a different case if I'd have had any kind of heating problems with it. So yeah, it does, you know, people are reporting airflow restrictions on it. You know, but you keep in mind, you know, it's a $40 case. You shouldn't be putting extremely hot components in that kind of case. That's about what I got to say on that one. Let's see here. Mohammed Santaway. You are the best, the perfect one I have watched. Love you, man. Keep it on. I have done my first BIOS update on your tutorial. That was on how to update the BIOS on the Gigabyte B450 DS3H motherboard. Well, thank you. I love you. And I plan on keeping it on. I'm glad that update went good for you. Let's see here. We have Stunned. Thanks, bro. You're amazing. Well, thank you for watching in the comment. Appreciate that. Ashen Dixon. Hi, Dave. Have you updated to the latest F50 BIOS for your DS3H? Actually, I just updated that BIOS this morning. I am running F50 now. For the video that's coming up this week, it's actually overclocking the Ryzen 7 2700. I did update the BIOS. So far it seems to be pretty stable because I just did that about 6 hours ago, I guess. But yeah, I have updated the BIOS F50, and it seems to be doing good. Seems to be steady. But thanks for the comment and thanks for watching. Julian Camilio Gielvegas. I ain't that a name. But anyways, says, hi man, will a Hyper 212 Evo fit in this case? I'm worried mine won't fit. That's in the Cooler Master Box Q300L build. I was skeptical about that myself. I got a Hyper 212 on the shelf, and I haven't attempted to put it in that system. That was in Ryzen 2400 build, and I don't have the back plate for the AM4 socket for the Hyper 212. That's why I ended up going with the Hyper T4 for it, because it is a little bit shorter cooler. If you look at the specs of the case with the height clearance of what they recommend for the height clearance of a cooler, the Hyper 212 is just a few millimeters too tall. That's why I went with the Hyper T4 in that build, because it's a lower profile cooler. So I don't know, it would be an awful tight fit. That's why I didn't put a Hyper 212 in there. If I thought the Hyper 212 would have fit in it, I would have used it over the Hyper T4. So I'm not really sure on how to answer that question. I'm not sure if it will or not. To be on the safe side, he says, I'm worried mine won't fit. I'm going to assume that he's already got it. If you've already got it, there ain't no harm in trying. I mean, if you buy a new CPU, it comes with a heatsink that you could put onto it if it don't fit. But I don't think it will fit. I don't think the clearance is going to be there for it. But thank you for the comment. Thank you for watching. Linux GTX 750 Ti 12 hours ago. Can I upgrade from the F32 to F50? That was on how to update the BIOS on the Gigabyte B450 DS3H motherboard. Yeah, if you're already running F32, you can go straight up to F50. You should have no problems doing that. I went from F41B, I believe I was running, straight up to F50 this morning. If you look at the website for Gigabyte, let me get it pulled up here. Yeah, Gigabyte DS3H. We'll go down to support. Go down to the BIOS. Which one did he say he was on? He said he was on F32. If he was on F32, F32, he would need to. He'd need to. Actually, you need to update to F40. You need to update to F40 before going to F52. So yeah, you would need to do F40 BIOS. Let's see, F32. Make sure you have a BIOS F32 before 40. Okay, so if he's on F32, he should be able to go straight up to F50 without no problem. So yeah, you should be good to go straight from F32 to F50 by looking at the website and the way the BIOS is laid out. You should have no problem with that upgrade. Just follow the way I did in that tutorial and it should work fine. Like I said, I updated the F50 this morning. It seems to be running stable. I have no issues with it so far. Like I said, it's only been a few hours or so, but it's been doing fine. And you can go straight from F32. As long as you're on F32, you can go straight to anyone that you want to go to. Alright guys, I think that's about it for the questions and the comments. And I got some important stuff to take care of. I got a video to take care of to get finished up for this week and whatnot. So I think that's going to do for this week's live show. Like I said, if you want to see any of the articles I talked about in the show, the links will be in the description below. There's also a link down there for Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to come over there and follow me over there on them social media sites. If you liked what you saw here today, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. That way you know notified next time I go live or next time I put out a video. If you really liked what you saw here today, there's that thumbs down button. Yeah, there's that comment section. Like I said, anything goes in that comment section. I'm still a small channel, so I'm able to go through them comments, and I answer every one of them every week in my live show. That's kind of why I started the live show, was to answer the comments, because sometimes I get quite a few of them, and it's kind of hard to type them all out, which I try to do that as well, which I'm falling behind on. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here for the day. I hope y'all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Y'all have a good day.